Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Pit Lane Chatter podcast. Unfortunately, our streak has been no more
Because of you, totally. Okay, so this episode is technically season 2 of Pit Lane Chatter. F1 2024 has begun. We unfortunately missed an episode. And in this episode, we actually have a lot to do.
Yeah, we're gonna
talk
cover.
about Bahrain, obviously.
We're gonna
That's
cover
later.
our last episode plans, which had an introduction to F1 along with our drive season predictions, which have been altered a bit after the Bahrain Grand Prix.
So first, for everyone who's new to F1, what the hell is F1? Why are 20 cars driving around in circles to see who's the best? So the concept is pretty simple.
It's a
There-
big, expensive science
There
project.
is millions of people in an international science project putting hundreds of millions of dollars into creating fast cars going vroom vroom in circles. That is essentially F1 in a nutshell.
Essentially, in a nutshell, big science fair, fast cars, racing, winning, woo.
So the way it works is there are 10 teams, and we call them constructors. They create the teams. They're responsible for strategy. They're responsible for picking out their drivers and all the communications and everything. And their responsibility is to produce the best car possible. So these 10 teams are, you probably already know them: Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Visa, Cash App, Racing Bulls, Williams, Kick, Alpine, and Haas. These are the 10 teams in F1, and there are 20 drivers, each team having 2 drivers. We're not going to name them out. Probably the only one you need to know is Max
Verstappen.
So these drivers drive around in the cars that their constructors gave them, all of them to be at the top of the Constructors' Championship. So in every
Drivers'
race,
championship.
Drivers' Championship. So every race, based on the position you finish the race in, you are allocated a certain amount of points. First 25, 18, 16, and so on. There's a certain set. And furthermore, all of the points add up to your individual score as a driver, firstly, and your constructor's entire score as your team. So all the drivers compete for the Constructors' Championship and Drivers' Championship.
Alright, so I completely lost what I was gonna. Okay, yeah. So every F1 weekend is split across 3 days. Well, 4, but 1 day is pretty useless. You know, we'll do 4 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday is known as the media day. That is the day when the drivers, all the drivers should have reported to the paddock, and this is when they get interviewed. So this is when you have the team principal interviews, the driver interviews, and this is also the day where the drivers take the track walk, where they just walk around the track to familiarize themselves with the track. Then we have Friday. This is where we actually get some running sessions in. So we have practice 1 and practice 2 normally. So what these are just 1-hour sessions. The drivers, they can get in their car and they can drive for how much ever they want to. They can drive any way they want to. This is used to get data so the drivers can change the setup of their cars. Although they are given a car from the constructors, they can tweak certain bits of handling so the car can feel better for them. So this is when they can go test out. Everything is there for them on Friday. Those 2 hours of practice are all for testing. Then we have Saturday.
Oh yeah, and the way that F1 cars work is that drivers have to be able to do the entire course without even looking. That's how experienced they are. And in order to do that, they need the free practices. So there are 3 free practices per race. Is that a rule?
No?
It's 3 free practices in every race.
No. Then Saturday, we have 1 last hour of free practice. And then the next session is qualifying. Now, qualifying is split into 3 different sections: Q1, Q2, Q3. So Q1, so essentially what qualifying is, the qualifying order will set the race order will set the grid for the race. So you know how when you see grid starts on a race, they're always set in something. So who starts first, who starts last, that will be depicted through qualifying. So what qualifying is, the drivers will go around the track and try saying the fastest lap they can, the fastest 1 lap they can. So this is split into 3: Q1, Q2, Q3. So Q3 has all 20 drivers. It's a 15-minute qualifying session. They can go how many ever times they want on whichever tires they want, and they can try setting the fastest lap possible. So what will happen is at the end of Q1, the bottom 5 will be eliminated. The ones who set the 5 slowest laps will be eliminated. And not every lap is counted, only your best lap is taken into consideration. Then we move on to Q2, where again, 11 to 15, the next 5 are eliminated after the session of Q2. So you get Q3, which is also known as the top 10 shootout. Now this is the most exciting part of qualifying because this will depict the top 10 grid order. And the person who gets first will get this place called pole position, which means he starts on the grid first, which is a big advantage when it comes to the race, obviously, because he'll be starting the race in first.
Drive to survive type shit.
If you get pole position, you start the race in first. No. If you get pole position, you're the fastest qualifier. Actually, that's not true.
No.
Shut
up.
Okay, we'll get to that later. Like, I'm not saying it's.
Yeah, I know what you're about to talk about.
It is Charles' fault, but it's just saying that Ferrari had the pace.
I'm just saying, maybe.
And also, wait.
The strategy in his mind.
Wait. And also one more thing, which considering we know about this, your lap times for Q2 and Q1 aren't considered in Q3. So it's only your best lap time in Q1 or your best lap time in Q2. You can't just set one lap time for Q1 and have it carried over to Q2 and Q3.
And there's a bunch of strategy based on the amount of fuel you have in your car, the tires that you use, everything factors in. And it's based on the team's preferences, team strategy, all of that matters. So, and the final is most important, race day. In race day, each of the cars go around for how many kilometers?
300.
300 kilometers.
Or the closest to 300 depending on the track length.
And it is the craziest experience ever for a viewer and a driver. It's completely filled with strategy, driver tactics, everything that deals with the way the drivers drive their car in order to get to the checkered flag as fast as humanly possible.
Alright. A couple of rules in the races. So we have tires for each car, obviously. And the tires, they degrade over time, especially in F1 cars compared to like your normal road cars because of the way they're constantly pushing and the way the tires are made. They're made to be fast, but they degrade very quickly over time, which means that the drivers will have to change the tires. So not only are the drivers given a set amount of tires each weekend, they're also given different types of tires, which we call tire compounds. So there are 3 types of tire compounds.
5, 7. Okay, I'll explain. So there's 7 types of tire compounds. This is not going to be good. So there's C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and after that there's an intermediate and a rain and a wet tires. So between these C5, Pirelli before every race weekend looks at all the data, looks at everything, and decides on 3 tire compounds. So based on this, say it's like C1, C4, C5. The middle one will be called the medium tire. The highest one will be called hard tire, and the lowest one will be called the soft tire.
The higher the C, the higher
the rigidity. Sure. Yeah.
The higher the C, the more soft it is.
Oh yeah, then opposite of what I said. So essentially the difference between these, if you're at the red tire, which we call the soft tire, the red tire is essentially the fastest tire theoretically. It's not necessarily the case, but the thing is, it fires up the fastest, I think. Yeah, it fires up the fastest, however, it also degrades the fastest. And the hard tires last the longest, but they're not as fast because obviously they don't get as much grip. And the medium is the best of both worlds. So in F1, there's a rule within your race. You have to have at least 2 tire compounds used. So it means it's compulsory that you have to pit at some point of your race in order to get these compounds.
Unless the race turns into a wet race, which then the rule isn't necessary.
Yeah, essentially. What else?
I'm just going to simplify the tire thing that Daksh said. So for new F1 fans, you don't have to worry about the C's much. Just when you come into a race, there are going to be 3 tires: hard, medium, soft. Hard is white, medium is yellow, soft is red. Soft, fastest, doesn't last long. Hard's slowest, lasts very long. Medium, best of both worlds. It wasn't that hard.
You didn't explain the C. Okay, C's.
That's you really don't need to know the C's.
I wasn't kind of happy that I.
If you want to learn about the C's, you can go back to the first episode of the Pit Lane Channel podcast, where in the last 10 minutes, you just have Daksh losing his mind as I explain the C's.
You're talking about some. Okay, no, shut up. Yeah, continue. What else?
Alright, so then Now, obviously, there are.
Oh wait, we
flag-
forgot something very important. So when the constructors are developing their cars, they have a set of rules. So you can't spend $1 billion developing a car. I mean,
Cost
Red Bull did. Okay. So there's a cost cap to keep it a level, like a level playing field between all the cars. And essentially, your goal is to develop the best car possible within that framework, within your cost cap. And there's a bunch of things, including the wind tunnel, the materials you use, everything that matters within the development of your car.
Alright, so something that's more right related to F1 is
So,
yeah something. So we have different types of flags that are constantly waved on the track. No, we do not need that branding. They're not paying us.
they're not going to pay us, bro. We talk too much shit about them.
Oh yeah. So then, yeah, the different types of flags. So there are a couple of flags. There's a green flag. So when you see a green flag waved or no flag waved, that means go for it. Everything's fine. You can drive as fast as you want. When you see a yellow flag waved, that means you just have to be a bit careful when you're driving because there's something that's happened. It could be debris or maybe one car has stopped. And then there's double yellow. Now double yellow is the most common type of caution flag. Now this is when the car has stopped for a long period of time or where there's some really big debris. It can be like whole front wing. So now when the drivers drive through a section of a double yellow flag, they have to slow down and they're not allowed to overtake. Well, you're not allowed to overtake on single wave like yellow flags either, but double waved, if you overtake, you get a big penalty handed your way. Double yellow flags, you have to slow down because it's a dangerous part. And then we have the red flag. The red flag means that the session is stopped. All the drivers have to go to the pits and they have to wait there until they can remove the red flag. This is normally when there's a really big accident on track, when like debris has been scattered over multiple pieces of track, when there's too much rain where it's not safe for the drivers to drive anymore, or sometimes when a driver crashes so hard into the barrier that the barrier itself breaks. So there are a couple of instances where the red flag is called out. It's the most rare, one of the rarest flags that we see in Formula 1. And when we see a red flag in a race, you know it's going to be a good race. So there's also the black flag.
No, they don't even know that. Yeah, don't listen to it. You know, I don't understand it.
Okay, that's extra stuff. Like, you're probably never going to see it. And if you do see it, then the commentators will explain right there what a black flag is.
So within the race, there's a bunch of strategy that happens.
Wait a minute. Safety car and VSC.
Go ahead.
Alright, so along with these flags, there is also a virtual safety car and a safety car. So now what the virtual safety car does is if there's a crash, but it's not anything extremely major, they will enable the virtual safety car. That basically puts a double waved yellow flag around the entire track and it slows down the car by around 40 to 60% of their original speed, and there is a time that they have to stay to. So like they can't keep going this fast because they have to stick to a certain lap time. Then we have the safety car. This one is a larger incident on track where literally a car will come out on track driven by the amazing Burt Mailander. So this car, this year it's either the Aston Martin Vantage or the Mercedes AMG Black Series. But that car will come and it will start taking laps around the track. And what the F1 cars have to do, since they're obviously faster, they'll have to come, and when they reach the safety car, they cannot overtake the safety car, but they have to line within the safety car and stay in a line behind the safety car. And obviously the safety car is going much slower, so they're going to be slowed down all the way to the safety car. And when the safety car goes back into the pits, all the drivers can start racing again, no matter the gaps. So this brings a lot of strategy play, which Daksh wanted to talk about.
So basically the timing of your pits, the timing of exactly when you pit, what tire compound you use. Do you wait for perhaps a red flag? Do you wait? Perhaps there's going to be a safety flag coming, so do you pit now or later?
Safety
it's all
flag?
part. Safety car.
Safety flag, guys, safety flag.
So anything that happens, it's all strategy, all team strategy, or sometimes the driver takes it up in their hands. And what's the strategy called when you? Yeah, go ahead. The race.
No, explain in the safety car the advantage of pitting. And
So if you pit during a safety car, you shave off about 15 seconds. You shave off about 15 seconds off your pit stop because obviously all the other cars are going a lot slower, so you match their pace to some extent. So you lose a lot less time than you regularly would. And that
because what happens when you're pitting, you have to go to the pit lane, and when you're in the pit lane, you are limited to a slow speed. So this might be 60.
It's 15.
15. Are you dumb?
Go on. Sure.
It changes per track based on the safety of the pit lane, but it ranges from 40 to 80 kilometers per hour in some tracks. Now I know these might sound like big numbers, but remember, F1 cars, they average easy 150 plus in a race. So it really depends on the track. So obviously you're limited to the speed, especially pit lanes are kept on a straight. So on a straight is when you have the high speeds. So obviously you're losing so much time there. And on top of that, you have to go stop for like 2 seconds and then again continue. Because when you stop, they change tires. And yes, they change all 4 tires in 2 seconds because they have like 20 people on your car at once. So essentially throughout the entire,
of course.
so throughout the entire pit process, you lose about 20-25 seconds. It honestly depends a lot on the type of track. Like Singapore, you lose about 28 seconds, while another track you could lose 20 seconds. So it depends on the type of track that you're in, which will affect the pit lane time. That could also affect how often you pit. So that is one thing. And obviously you pit to get fresher tires, because when you have fresher tires, they're obviously going to be much faster than worn out tires. So there are 2 different types of strategies. There's undercut and there's overcut. These are the most common ones you're going to see. So now, best way to explain these strategies is with an example. So I'll just use me and Daksh. For example, we're racing. And now if Daksh is in front of me and we're both on the same type of tire and we're matching pace, obviously I'm not going to get him because we're the same type of tire, we're matching pace. I won't be able to close up to him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pit before him and I'll be on fresh tires. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on those fresh tires. Even though there's a big gap between me and Daksh, I will be closing up to Daksh. So if me and Daksh were like 3 seconds gap, after pit stop I'll be like 25 seconds. Yeah, if it's 22 second pit stop, then 25 seconds. And then after that I'll be at a much faster pace than Daksh, so I'll be closing in. If I close the gap to 2 seconds, when Daksh pits, if I close the gap to 20 seconds, when Daksh pits, he's going to come out behind me. So I've overtaken him through strategy. So that is called an undercut, when you pit before to get an advantage. And now there's another thing called overcut. Now this you don't see as much, it really depends on the type of track. But now if similar scenario, Daksh is in front of me, I'm behind him, and we're on the same tire, same pace, what I will do is Daksh will pit first and I will stay out still. When Daksh pits, and if he comes out in traffic, in really slow cars, he's going to have to wait until he can overtake those cars, or he'll have to match the pace of those cars, which is much slower than the lap times I'm doing out in front. So even though Daksh is on fresher tires, because of his track position, he's going to be slower than me. I can increase the gap, so when I pit, I'll come out in front of him. So that's why overcuts you see overcuts are more rare, because only in tracks like Singapore or Monaco street circuits will you have traffic problems. Otherwise you can overtake them pretty easily.
So there's a bunch of other strategy stuff, from understeer, oversteer, lockups, everything, and it's pretty complicated to understand for now.
I know, it's pretty simple. Lockups, it's
Sure.
Alright, so a lockup, what happens when you're braking into a corner? Obviously these guys are trying to go as fast as they can, so they're going to brake as late as they can. So if they brake a bit too late and their brakes get too hot, that causes a lockup. So what happens is when you're braking, the brake pad pushes against the tire, causing its rotation to slow. But when it gets too hard, it will press so hard that the tire just stops in its place and it slides across the floor. That's called a lockup. Now the reason why this is bad is not only do you lose a lot of control of the car, but also the tire now rubs against the floor instead of rolling, which causes an entire section of the tire to be completely burnt off, which causes a flat area in the tire, which makes it much more uncomfortable when driving and slows you down. That's called a flat spot, which you're going to hear many times. Then there's understeer and oversteer. Pretty simple. Understeer is when you try turning into a corner, but the front of the car just doesn't turn as much as you want to, and you end up going more off than you want to. So that's called understeer, when the car doesn't turn in properly. And now oversteer is when the rear of the car doesn't listen to you. So essentially, it's when I'm trying to turn, the rear will turn too much and it could cause me to spin or a little drift. That's essentially oversteer.
And something that you definitely need to know is DRS and slipstreams. So DRS is essentially, there's a flap on your car. If you're within 1 second of the person in front of you, you've on certain parts of the track, which are called DRS zones, which are most often in straights, you are allowed to open that flap, which adds about 25 kilometers per
Yeah,
hour.
because what happens that the flap being open reduces the drag your car faces, and so less drag means more speed.
And then there's a slipstream in which the car in front of you takes the resistance of going through the air essentially, and essentially you are going at their pace without using as much power, thus you can activate your battery and thus have a better overtake. So all of these are factors part of overtaking and the entire race experience of drivers.
Essentially, what's a slipstream is when the car in front of you punches a hole in the air. So when you're traveling that same path, you'll have less air resistance, so you'll be able to go at a higher speed because less drag again.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's essentially it. That's all the basics you need to know. Formula One, obviously, if you get into the technical aspects, there's more political aspects. There's a lot
of
more
political aspects.
financial. There's a lot more.
And you understand the controversy in seeing drivers a bunch. Just watch Drive to Survive.
But
Don't.
not the most reliable drive to survive.
Okay. So now that we've got that out of the way, F1 2024 started, and guess who's on top? What was that school? Yeah. Guess who's on top? Max Verstappen wins again, but that was not much of a shocker. I mean, it kind of was. It was a shocker to me.
So what happens
Shocking.
in qualifying?
No, let's talk about free practice first. Free practice, crazy shit happened. Somehow, Daniel Ricciardo got first, and then. Yeah.
So we apologize for that. Our recording studio is right next to an airspace.
Yeah, anyway, Daniel Ricciardo got first, and then Mercedes got 1-2. I was damn excited. I genuinely thought we had a chance. Turns out we didn't.
And what happened is
shit.
while Ricardo was there and while Mercedes was there, Red Bull were complaining, oh no, gear
Yeah.
shifts are bad. Oh no, I can't control the
And
car.
that was the biggest sandbag.
It was
history.
music to our ears. It was music to our ears.
I knew they were up to something, but I didn't think they would be that good. And after Max Verstappen comes in the race, first of all, he gets pole position, not by that much. No, shut up.
Let's talk about qualifying, okay?
Okay, qualifying.
Q1, Verstappen, he's somewhere there, but he's not on top. We're like, oh my god,
no,
yes.
Q1's not that big of a
Oh yeah, but then like we just saw the fact that Verstappen's not topping it, so we're like, nice. Q2 he tops it, but by no, Q2 he didn't top. Q2 Charles topped.
Of course.
We're like, yes, definitely, and we all thought Charles could get pole. And then Q3 he bloody gets it by 3/10, and we're like, what the hell? And then you know what's more frustrating? We check the lap times, and Charles's lap time in Q2 was a faster lap than Verstappen's pole position lap time. So although Verstappen got pole position,
He knows the curse.
although Verstappen got pole position, Charles Leclerc was the fastest in qualifying. And the reason why they didn't get pole in Q3 is because Ferrari never saved a new set of soft tires. Because as I said, they get a limited amount of tires each weekend. Ferrari didn't save a good enough set of the fastest tire. So he had to go on old tires, do his lap. And then when he went for the second run on fresh tires, the wind had picked up, causing them to be slower, naturally.
Or he knew the curse. Which is a very nice curse. Every time I'm pretty sure Charles.
Anytime they share a front
Max,
row.
Max has more wins of Charles's poles than Charles has in his own.
Yeah.
That's a nice statistic.
Like, Verstappen has won more times when Charles has started on pole than Charles himself.
Yeah, so qualifying was not.
Qualifying, I found
Russell
it pretty
had
intense.
really good. Russell had really
Yeah,
good.
Russell had pretty good P3.
And
Perez had a
basically
bit
just
of
what
a
everyone
stinker,
expected.
P5.
Everyone
But yeah.
expected that.
Okay,
oh,
so
Hulkenberg. Flying
Yeah,
lap.
Hulkenberg did really well.
Really good.
In Q3, that's not what I expected. But Q3 was somewhat we expected. Hamilton was lower than expected.
He
P9.
did a terrible lap.
P9, that was
watching,
unexpected.
That was a terrible lap. And then basically, nothing really surprising.
Yeah, nothing
Everyone-
extremely surprising. So
Everyone pretty much knew these placings.
2024 is just like 2023.
Lance Stroll didn't make it to Q3.
Wow, what a shocker.
Damn, who would expect it? And anyway, the real race happens. Let's just
Verstappen
not talk
wins.
about. Let's just not talk about Verstappen.
We were so hyped. I was gonna be
It
like,
was-
yes, we're gonna have competitiveness. Practice showed good data. We're so gonna have a good race. What happens? Verstappen, within lap 4, he has like a 6-second lead. I'm just like,
Okay, let's put Verstappen aside.
okay.
It wasn't a shit race, but it wasn't the best race.
No, it's a pretty boring race.
Other than Sainz, Sainz was a god.
Yeah.
He just said he shitted on
Yeah.
Ferrari. Ferrari like fired him instantly.
No,
He
but
gets-
also
he had
I blame a
three
lot
brilliant
of it
overtakes.
on Charles's issues. Charles, he can never not have an issue. Like
Yeah,
he's actually
still,
so sad.
Sainz's overtakes were
Sainz
crazy.
had crazy pace today. I mean, Saturday,
Yes.
Sainz was really good. Charles, he claimed he could have gone better. I'm not sure about that. I think he was level with Sainz. He claimed he could have gone better. Not sure about that. But Charles, the main reason why he was really bad and he kept locking up everywhere, it's because his front two brakes, there was 100 degrees or so temperature difference. This was caused by some cooling problem Ferrari had, but their cooling problem won the wars.
Okay, let's talk about Russell.
No. So then, essentially, what happened is that with that 100-degree brake difference, you have one tire locking up really early, which is why Charles would just keep locking up all over the track. And obviously, he's locking up, he's losing time, he's wearing off tires, which tire wear of Ferraris looked impressive. And because of that, obviously, he wasn't able to perform well until somehow by like lap 25, lap 30, he managed to get not a control, but he managed to adapt to the issue. Because the sector 2 is where Ferrari were expected to be the strongest, and that's why they showed the most pace. But Charles was losing about 6/10 a lap in that sector.
And then, okay, let's talk about Russell.
But no, wait, Ferrari's tire deck. So despite Charles locking up, Ferrari had said, "Oh, you're looking good on your tires, Charles." I'm like, what the hell? So definitely think that Charles's performance has hidden Ferrari's real tire deck, which is really good.
Okay, now Russell. Russell had a good race, and
Not good enough.
No,
Not good enough.
Okay, other in terms of just driver performance, he was.
He didn't defend from Charles or
No,
Sainz.
shut up. Because he had a faulty car.
No,
He had a
see,
faulty
driver
car, a
performance
slow
wise,
car.
I would put Charles higher than Russell.
Yeah.
This race driver
No,
performance, I definitely put Charles higher than
no.
Russell.
Charles and Russell both had problems in the car.
And yet Charles came out higher.
Because he had a faster car, no shit. He had a much faster car, and you know that.
Yeah, I know he had a faster car,
Yeah.
but he still destroyed Russell.
No, Russell drove really well. I'm happy that Perez
But
actually
also,
had a pretty good race.
No, but also Russell's problem wasn't as big as it was for Hamilton because Russell always had clean air, and also Russell at the end he was losing so
Yeah.
much time to
He's
Norris,
losing I
which is why I'm saying
genuinely
Charles
thought that
was
Norris
higher,
would have gotten
which
it.
is why I'm calling Charles higher than Russell this race.
Okay, then Hamilton was a joke. Like he had a seat problem in the middle.
Yeah, he just goes on,
Seat
you know,
problem.
Charles goes, "Oh, my brakes are not working," and then Hamilton's radio, "Oh shit, my seat broke."
Oh
This is Ferrari for 2025,
It was-
guys.
it
We're
was-
so ready.
It was a terrible race for Hamilton and Hamilton fans. He was down by 50 seconds.
But no, the biggest problem for Mercedes is that they had some engine cooling issue, and along with that, Williams also had engine cooling issue. So could it be something with the Mercedes engines? Probably not, considering what am I saying? Aston Martin and McLaren did not have any of those issues.
So, okay, so.
Wait, speaking about Alpine. Wait. Speaking about Alpine.
Oh, they're so.
What a joke of a team! They're so done for.
No.
So not only do they qualify P19 and P20, but they had a bloody terrible race. Okay,
They
firstly
have
they had a
gotten
terrible
a
race,
tank.
and the only reason why they came 18th and 17th is one because Logan Sargent forgot how to brake on one corner and he just stood there for a minute, and secondly is because Bottas had a 1-minute pit stop. He was probably getting flashbacks to Monaco.
Nico Hulkenberg crashed out.
Wait,
Was 45 seconds behind and still managed to overtake the two shittiest cars in the grid.
Hulkenberg got hit in turn 1, had to pit and everything, and he still beat Alpine. What the hell? And also I think that Hulkenberg being crashed out kind of hasn't showed us how good Haas is, because I think Haas is much higher than when we all anticipated. So Alpine, along with that, after the race, their technical director resigns.
I didn't know that. I should know.
They're so done.
Okay, one driver shocked the hell out of me. Zhou Guanyu.
Really?
11th in that shit of a car.
It wasn't that shit. Bottas had pretty good pace until he had to pit.
Okay. He was consistently over Magnussen, Ricardo, Tsunoda, Albon, Hulkenberg, everyone. He had a very good race. And
I'm
he
not
started
surprised.
17th.
That state car is not bad. Guan Yu's a really good driver. I'm not surprised.
I am. I think I would have put him in 17th, 18th before the season. I'm pretty sure I did 17, 18,
Yeah.
something like that.
But also, like this is just like a side story that came up in the last 2 laps of the race. Ricardo and Tsunoda.
Oh, that was so funny.
They had some beef going on because Ricardo was faster. Tsunoda didn't want to believe it, so they're like, "No, let me go in front. No, let me go first." And then all that, Tsunoda was asked to let Ricardo go past because Ricardo was on faster pace. And then Ricardo couldn't overtake the car in front, and Tsunoda got so pissed that he had to give up a position for that.
He would have gone overtaken anyway. Okay, so
Maybe.
Tsunoda is like a child, okay? He's like an absolute child. After the race is done, he dive bombed Ricardo.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see that.
After the race is
It
done,
was so funny.
So after the race is done, like no one cares anymore. Like they cross the checkered flag and they have to go to the pits, which is at the end of the lap. So they all go slowly on the thing. Tsunoda comes and just dive bombs Ricardo.
And then he locks up. That was the best part. He locked up right after dive bombing him. Bro, Tsunoda's next level.
But one more thing, I think McLaren have not completely opened. They have pace. It just hasn't been shown because in the end, Lando was going fast.
He was going fast.
He was going fast in the end.
He was actually catching.
Yeah.
Like another 3-4 laps, he would have gotten up to him.
And I don't think we're going to see Perez after this year because Verstappen being 20 seconds ahead of Perez, and Perez struggled to escape from Sainz. Sainz kept Perez right on his toes. If Perez made one little mistake, Sainz would have completely taken him.
Okay, now we're gonna make our official predictions for the year.
Alright.
Okay, let's go with terms of teams first.
Okay.
Let's not debate it.
I
Let's
think
just
we
say-
already know who's first for both of us.
No, let's go from 10th. 10th.
Okay. Alpine.
Yeah, same. Okay, 9th.
Williams.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
I said Haas.
Haas.
I wasn't a fan. I think they just got very lucky in that
See,
one
if
lap.
it wasn't for this
Yeah,
race, I would have definitely put Haas second last. But after the race, like Haas, they've
good
pressed
one
me
lap
much.
race. They have
Yeah,
good one.
and also considering that they also made it in both cars into Q2 and Hulkenberg into Q3.
That's fair. Then I'll put Kick 9th.
Yeah, and
That
I mean,
is so
yeah,
it's
say
a fluke of his life.
yeah. So Williams, the reason why I put them there is because Albon, I know he's capable, but we all know Sargent's not capable.
Yeah, Sargent's
Okay, 8.
8th, I would go with Williams.
I've put Steak, Kick, Alfa Romeo, whatever.
Oh yeah, 6 is the remaining. Half.
7th?
Okay, 6th now.
No.
I put VCAL. Yeah, 7th.
Oh, yeah.
would be yours.
I put Haas in 7th.
Yeah, same.
6th?
VCAL.
Same. 5th?
Aston.
Same. 4th?
Oh wait, this is gonna be different. 3, 2, 1.
McLaren.
Very nice. Okay, 3.
Third.
3. You're gonna be surprised. Mercedes.
Same.
Yeah, second is Ferrari, first is that one.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, we
So,
actually got pretty
top
similar.
6 is no, top 7 is the same. Our entire predictions are same except we've flipped around Stake and Williams.
Yeah, essentially.
That's
and
pretty
I got
good.
bottom shitty teams are
Yeah,
kind
okay.
of different.
Now, driver starting from last.
Sargent.
Same.
Asshole.
Then?
Idiot. Second last, Bottas.
Ocon.
Oh,
Third last.
Ocon.
Gasly. Then
Then Gasly.
Magnussen.
Okay. Then I put Magnussen.
Then I put Zhu.
Then I put Zoe same. And
I
then I
put
put
Albon.
Hulkenberg.
Then I put Tsunoda.
You put Hulkenberg over Albon.
Yeah, because
You're crazy.
because I think the
You're
Haas is much
crazy.
faster than
You're
the Williams.
Crazy. No.
I think the Haas is much
No.
faster than the Williams.
I
Wait,
put
wait, wait.
Albon. Okay, I'm not gonna say it yet. Okay, who do you put 13th?
Bottas.
You're mad. You're
12th?
Crazy. I put 13th Ricardo.
Oh, damn. Who do you put in 12th?
Sonoda.
Hulkenberg. 11th?
Yo.
Wait, you put Tsunoda over Ricardo?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I didn't expect it. He's just.
What do you put
he's
over
out of his-
Tsunoda?
I put Albon.
Oh, I put Ricardo there.
Yeah, no.
And now 10th?
10th is Stroll.
Same. 9th?
Alonso.
Same. 8th?
Oscar.
Same. 7th?
Russell.
Same. 6th?
Norris.
Same.
What?
5th?
Leclerc.
Huh?
Yeah.
Jesus, I put Hamilton.
No, my fourth is Hamilton. I put Sainz over the clock.
Damn, I put Perez in fourth. Then
My fourth is
Third?
Hamilton. My third is Perez.
Sainz.
My second is Sainz.
Perez is
Big
fourth,
boy
Sainz is
Sainz.
third. Second is Charles, and first
The
Max Verstappen.
The
So we had like a good run. Like,
oh, we actually are so
our
much similar. I'm
6th
shocked.
to 10th was exactly the same, and then like I really don't see how you see Leclerc coming P5.
I don't see him beating Hamilton because I feel Hamilton's experience is just going to be better than him.
My
I
guy
don't-
came
I think Sainz is going to absolutely destroy Leclerc this year.
Doubtful.
He has too much to prove.
doubtful.
He has a lot to prove. And based on the performance I saw day before yesterday, he's on.
I mean, see, last
He's
year,
not
going
struggling.
off last year, even though they finished really close in the championship, Charles had so many more DNFs than Sainz, which is why I still think Charles is a much.
Also, you know,
I
I'm gonna
can't
put
drive Sainz.
one star prediction. I see. This is gonna be a crazy pick.
Like a little bingo.
Once again, just not officially. I see Ricardo being in
Red Bull.
being in sixth. I see Ricardo being in sixth.
In the
And
championship?
Perez once again, and Perez being in ninth. If there's a switch. Depends on when there's a switch.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
If there is a switch, then we'll have a little
Like a completely new thing.
a little change on this.
Yeah.
But we'll put this down in a document. We'll seal it, so make sure we don't little change it throughout the season. But
Well, let's do bingo, okay? Next
We'll make a
episode, we're gonna
bingo.
upload our bingos. We're gonna create a 5x5 grid of things that we can do. And it's not gonna be shit like Verstappen wins the race. It's gonna be like actual predictions like
Yeah.
trivial predictions that might happen. And we'll see who gets the win. And we'll update it and we'll update you guys throughout the season.
Also, one more thing. During the Bahrain Grand Prix, I almost shat myself when I saw Sainz and Charles battling.
That was
They got so close.
so.
They got so close.
If Monza happened again. If Monza happened. Not Monza. What was the race? Who crashed?
Are you good?
They crashed.
Are you good? No, they didn't crash in
When
Monza.
did they battle like crazy?
When did? What,
Yeah,
they,
Monza.
They battled like
Yeah,
crazy.
battled like crazy in
But they
Monza.
never crashed in
Yeah,
Monza.
not crashed. But if
Crashes
was like
happened when
Monza.
Vettel and Leclerc were together.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for today's
Yep.
episode. It was a fun episode. A lot of controversy, hopefully. Actually, not that much.
Oh, by the way, did you see the entire Horner thing? Apparently, Red Bull
Yeah, it's
CEO
cleared.
apparently the Red Bull CEO on Feb 2nd itself had already written Horner's dismissal in a press release was ready, but before they released it, Horner got his lawyers involved.
Or we'll talk about the next episode.
Yeah, because
we are
it's still like because I got to know this just this morning, so obviously a bit more research got to go into that
Okay, so anyway, next weekend is Saudi Arabia Grand Prix.
this weekend.
This weekend, sorry.
Another Saturday race.
Another Saturday race. We will record next week.
Oh, wait, no.
upload it.
Predictions for Saudi: Verstappen first, Charles second, Sainz third.
I say Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton.
Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton. Oof,
Yeah.
you think Hamilton's gonna show up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Three different teams and Perez fourth. That's mine.
Yeah. Let's see.
And Russell fifth.
Wait, no.
And
Wait,
Charles
actually,
Leclerc
actually,
DNF.
actually, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez because the Red Bull is really good in high speed.
Okay, anyway, okay. So
That's
the
been
breakdown.
it for today's Pit Lane Chatter podcast episode.
Thank you guys
We're
for
on-
watching. And
We're on a couple of platforms. Go check us all out there. Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. And we'll see you there.
thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.